Hello, avocado fans. Today I wanted to do a video on keeping your trees small and keeping them to where you can manage them. You can see avocado trees are very smart. You see here, when the branches hit this fence, they decide to go elsewhere. The same is true over here when it hits the house. As soon as they realize there's something here, they go elsewhere. Now, one question is, how about the roots? Because this is about 6 feet from the house. So can the roots damage my foundation? Well, probably not. But my belief is that under the right conditions, anything's possible. And I don't want to play that game and find out. So although lamb stays small, which is wonderful, they can get big if you don't control them. You can see here the trunk is pretty small, which is nice because I don't want the trunk taking out my fence in any way, which could happen with a tree that gets 40 feet or so. And some varieties want to be that big. And so the way you have to do that is heavily prune, or another case is stump them. I'll put a link for Ken Love's video where he talks about heavily pruning. And he says prune like a criminal. But another method is stumping. So rather than pruning every year heavily, or in the case of the lamb, I'll take off one branch a year. What I'll do is I'll let my trees get big, and then sometimes I'll use this method where I stump them. This was stumped about a month ago, and you can see it's growing back beautifully. And part of it is because I stumped it at 4.5 feet. What I have come to find out is the lower you stump them, like if I stumped it down here at 2 feet with that little shoots coming out, that's what the tree would look like. It would look like a 2-foot tree with a little shoot. And they basically take longer to recover, the shorter to stump. I once stumped a tree at 8 to 10 feet, and guess what? A few weeks later, you wouldn't even have known. So basically, when you stump them, let the tree get large, or at least what I mean by that is let the trunk go long, and the longer the better if you want it to bounce back quicker. Now, if for some reason you didn't, you would stump it lower. Or if it was maybe a very large variety, I suppose, but that was really out of control. But essentially, this is 4.5 feet, almost 5 feet. And look, it's going to give me fruit for next year. Part of why I stumped it is it didn't have a fruit set for next year. So now was the perfect time, because if you see my other videos, it was approaching 16, 17, 18 feet, probably by the end of this season. And I would have to do what Ken Love did, is take half an hour and prune it all the way back, which would have been fine. Or I could just do this method where I basically took this, which I like to show. It's the alligator Black & Decker. And it clamps down like an alligator around the limb, where your shades are safety glasses when pruning, of course. And it just makes it easier. It gets control, and I don't have to worry about accidents, because on top of everything else, you see that? You got to have 2 hands on each one of these. So I recommend that. I believe in safety first. I'm not an expert pruner by any means. I've seen trees removed several times by family members, and I know how to remove a big tree, but I don't want to take any chances. I once had a relative cut themselves opening a Christmas present with a knife. It's like, I'm all about safety first. I don't want someone to watch my video and tell me they had an accident. So please wear your safety glasses or your sunglasses and choose the safest type of saw possible for you, electric or otherwise, and help someone hold the ladder if you are going to go high up in a tree and prune. Now, that out of the way, what I did want to mention, do a little deep dive, is if I were going to multigraft, now's the perfect time. You see this strong shoot here? I could multigraft onto that one. But I'm not going to, because Pinkerton to me is an excellent avocado, and mine tastes much better than anything I get in the stores for the 90% of the time, because what has happened with Pinkerton is they try to pick them before Hass, but I actually wait until April, May, June, and they taste excellent and much better than what I normally find if I find a Pinkerton in the store. Not always. Sometimes I do find good Pinkertons, don't get me wrong. But generally commercial growers, they'll pick them earlier than I would in my own yard. And that's another reason to grow your own avocados, because you're going to decide when to pick them, and you're going to pick them when they have the maximum oil, maximum flavor. I use the case of the Zutano all the time. Zutanos are in the store November, October, December. Guess what? They don't taste that great in that time of year. Now you wait until March, they taste wonderful. Big buttery avocado. And I showed you my Black & Decker alligator, and I'm going to show you this. I also threw some of this on because I want fruit next year, the Escamote Plus. I generally don't use fertilizers on my big trees. And in fact, I think the reason I didn't get fruit on this year was because I put fertilizer on it as it was flowering, which I've now found out is a no-no. According to Gary Matsuyoka of Laguna Hills Nursery, you wait until June or to November to fertilize avocados. Otherwise, you're going to lose all your wonderful flowers. And who wants to do that? So, this is Gregory, just sharing what works for me. Please leave any comments on what works for you. Again, if you can, choose a small variety. 2, prune like a criminal, as Ken Love likes to say. And I'll leave his video in the description again. And 3, if you are going to stump, try to stump high so it bounces back in time for next year. Also, you might notice it's summer. I usually, when I stump in late summer, because I know it has the rest of the year basically to keep growing. I'd say all the way until October. Then November it gets cold up here and they kind of stop for us. But it's going to continue to grow September, October. And then when things warm up, it'll grow and flower and give me fruit next year. So that's different for me. I know a lot of people like to wait for the fall to do things like stumping, but in my experience, when they're big, sunburn's not really an issue. And I give my trees plenty of water. And on top of that, you can see I did whitewash it, especially the top of the trunk, so it wouldn't get sunburned. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. And please like and subscribe. Have a good one.